Okay, let's get something straight right off the bat. Southerners have always been the real conservatives. Now, you've probably heard this line before. The Democrat Party was the party of slavery and the KKK. And then, in the very next breath, they'll turn around and say, you or the Confederate flag or your heritage represent that same evil. That somehow you're just a modern version of the same old Democrats. Look, folks, that's nonsense. It's historical illiteracy, and it's meant to shame you and your heritage, a heritage they obviously know nothing about. Here's the truth. Political parties evolve. They shift, they flip, but the core cultures they represent, the people, the values, the way of life, those change much more slowly. For generations, the South was known as the Solid South. It was a region that was fiercely loyal to the Democrat Party. But that loyalty wasn't because Southerners suddenly loved leftist ideas. It was a reaction to the Republican Party of Abraham Lincoln. This was the party that at the time was driven by the radical abolitionists. Many people are uneducated about this group of people. These were folks who advocated for political violence, like that of John Brown. It was also comprised of utopian reformers like transcendentalists and Unitarians, and there were also northern industrialists who wanted power and profit above all else. But ultimately, it was comprised of a federal government that was bent on breaking the rule of law in order to conquer a people that simply wished to be left alone. All of those things, all of those characteristics sound a lot like the left of today, the progressives of today. That's because the Republicans back then were not the conservatives. They were the progressives, the ones trying to reshape the country in their own image. So when Southerners resisted that, when they pushed back against Reconstruction, against the carpetbaggers and the scallywags who came down to fix them, what they were really doing was defending their culture, their land, and their traditions. Now you fast forward to today and you look at the map, the South is a sea of red. It's the same people, the same culture, the same sense of faith, family, and independence. They just found a different political home. The truth is really simple. The parties may have changed their names and their platforms, but the South itself, the people, they've never stopped being conservative. So when you point at a Southerner who's flying a Confederate flag and say, well, the Democrats were the party of slavery, thinking that will somehow score you points with the other side, you're missing the bigger picture completely. The party changed. The culture didn't. And pretending they're the same thing just shows you don't know your history. And that's all I have for today, folks. So give you something to think about. Southerners have always been conservative. The Democrat Party of today is nothing like the Democrats back then, and the Republicans back then are nothing like the Republicans of today. I think that is clear throughout history.